Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Lady O, Intuitive Empath, and I'm here with my husband, Psychic Medium and Trance Channel Riz Mirza. And tonight we are going to be channeling. And so Riz is going to be channeling a guide. We don't know who is going to be joining us tonight. And I will be asking questions. So without any further delay, we're just going to jump right in.
I am Phineas.
Hi, Phineas. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
Your dream state is not created by your physical world. Your physical world is created by your dream state. That which you are experiencing in the state of sleep is where, in a sense, you come from. The probabilities and possibilities you as consciousness experience, experiment with, explore, manipulate, deconstruct, and construct realities from, where you consider yourself formless when you dream, though you do experience physicality in your dreams. You are not in any physical danger. Your psychological process, as you are experiencing the dream, is largely defined by your beliefs in this physical waking life. You apply to the dream state the rules of your physical world as you know them. And so you are surprised by flying or looking different than your present physical form, where locations seem to blend into one. You often have dreams where perhaps you have combined your childhood home with your present home, or even another location. You combine cities as one. You often even combine people as one, where perhaps you are experiencing an interaction with your spouse who appears as your parent of that particular gender. And so that realm that you refer to as a realm is where creation comes from. You, as a being, are being in the physical form, and that is why you refer to it that way. You are a human being. Others will refer to you as a spiritual being. And yet you, as consciousness, cannot be contained nor defined by physicality, though a small portion of your existence is in the physical. You experience the physical through your five senses. And these five senses are rather limited in how you are experiencing reality, as you have understood that you are using sight and able to see only by the presence of light that is reflected off of an object, and therefore that your vision is dependent upon the speed of light. In fact, it is created by the speed of light. In darkness, you cannot physically see, as we have spoken of previously. And so, while your five senses are limited, they are enough to be efficient to be used in the navigation of your life. You are able to stand up, and you are able to physically navigate. You are able to then, as you call it, use your intelligence to keep you from danger and lead you towards prosperity. And so you do ponder creation. You wonder where you have been started from. Where are your origins? Your scientists ponder, theorize about the creation of the universe. And it is interesting to note that the basis of their search is in the past. They do not see creation as being in the present. They see it as beginning at point A and moving forward from there. And so you seek your origins in the past, though the term itself of your origins is very challenging for you to understand if we were to tell you that there is no beginning. And that the now, as you call it, is where creation is eternally starting from. In every moment it is, isn't it? You are starting now and now and now and now and now. And so you cannot search for your origins in the past. You have created what you refer to as the physical universe from what you refer to as the dream state. And in the dream state is where you, as the human experience of the dream state, is where you learn many things. It is where your inner technology is upgraded and you are progressing in your evolution. This is done consciously and unconsciously. And that is why you do not remember much of your dreams.
Well, I have quite a few questions. I hope you don't mind. This is a topic that many of us discuss regularly and would like more information. So, one of the biggest questions people have asked is, why do we dream?
Again, you are seeing yourself as the creator of the dream rather than the dream, in a sense, has created you. You see yourself as the focal point and the dream as some sort of phenomenon that randomly occurs to you. And yet you might say the you that exists as the dreamer, you see yourself as the dreamer, when actually your consciousness is what you are experiencing as the dream. Therefore, you yourself are the dream, not the dream. You have it in reverse.
And the purpose, why do we need to have this exploration when we sleep? We feel like,
Creation does not need to be justified, does it?
no, but we feel like we can't turn it off sometimes. You know, there's times we want to take a break from, we have very busy lives. We go to sleep and there's another busy life that we feel like we're living, and we're tired from the dream when we wake up sometimes.
There are several things occurring in what you refer to as the dream state. You, innocently, see yourself as a person who is choosing to rest, and during your time of rest, the state of unconsciousness, for lack of a more complex explanation, you are unconscious to those who are awake physically. You are sleeping. And as you are sleeping, you are experiencing a very real reality, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
There is a surreal quality to many of your dream experiences, for they do not make sense to you in accordance with your template for what makes sense here on Earth,
Right.
and therefore you are confused.
Mm-hmm.
As consciousness itself, and you have projected and manifested yourself into what you are now experiencing as physical reality, you have asked, what is the purpose? Our reply was, does creation need to be justified?
Mm.
That you are also creating here. And so the principle of you being in many places at once, or what you might call a multidimensional self,
Mm-hmm.
comes into play. You are many camera angles pointing in different directions in the same room, you might say, or in various rooms of a house. And in each of those rooms, something else is occurring. Perhaps there are many yous there. The moment that you are peering into another space, let us say that you are the person seeing the camera in various rooms, immediately what you are seeing is affected by your observation of it, meaning that you are creating what you think is happening by your system of beliefs.
So I have access to my earth belief systems that I have created here in this material world. I have access because I'm still creating a material world in the dream state. So those beliefs carry on to the other side.
You are not creating the dream state. The dream state is creating you. You are the dream state. You are more the dream state than the person who is sitting here having this conversation.
Right. So,
And that is why many of you feel rather contained in the physical body. You feel that there's more that you can do. Why can't you fly? Why can't you be invisible? Why can't you pass through solid objects? Why can you not see into other dimensions at will? Though some of you are developing that ability.
another question people have is they dream about random people, some people they don't know, and they have these very elaborate, long, detailed relationships with them. And we're wondering if those people are real in a different part of the world and maybe having that dream about us. So we're kind of coming together to share this experience.
You are perceiving it, again, in the template of physical boundaries and separation. As you know physical reality to be, naturally, from your own perspective, you would say that. But you see, consciousness is not separate from physicality, ultimately, is it? For every molecule, every atom is conscious, though this would be highly disputed by your scientists. Therefore, it is important for you to understand that the scope of your experience while you are in the physical human form, as you call it, is limited by the physical human form. You as consciousness are not. And so your own demands within yourself regarding your origins and exactly what it is that you are, those are often questioned by, why cannot I do this, and why does this happen? One might say that that is part of the mission of scientific exploration. And so the notion that you are more than what you think you are, and we are not referring to some emotional, inspirational aspect of your transformation, we are referring to what you might perceive as hard reality. The notion that you are more than what you think you are, that you are many different perspectives. And we use the term very carefully, for you, again, might see that perspectives are a form of moralizing, and we are not referring to that. You are the seer. You are the creator of this reality. And so, in your connections, as you have mentioned, or your dreams have told you and shown you that there are others whom you are interacting with, whom you do not consciously recognize. There is a wider expanse of consciousness from which you operate, where all recognition is present with those people. You are working through many things in your dreams, more than you realize. For much of learning is done subconsciously, isn't it?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So lately, it's becoming more popular, I guess, and maybe it's just we're more aware of each other being interested in this topic. But people are trying to dissect and read the symbols that are in our dreams and the lessons and what our subconscious is trying to tell us, things in our waking life that we're working on, and we see it play out, and we're learning how to decipher and read these symbols. So that people are starting to come to that conclusion more and more. They're starting to understand that.
The reason why you have books such as Dream Interpretation, and why some of those symbols hold value and meaning to you and you all agree upon, as if one were drowning in an ocean and they were to dream drowning in an ocean. All of you would agree that that has relevance to where the person feels overwhelmed by life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is because you see that danger as part of your human experience that is shared of drowning in the ocean, or perhaps being eaten by an animal, or falling from a great height. These are common themes, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And that is because that is part of your human experience of what can create physical danger for you. But there are far more subtle, penetrating, intricately layered symbols that occur beyond those broad strokes. And so it would be incorrect to say that those dreams of drowning in the ocean are different for everyone. No, those are across the board, as you would say, felt as the danger of being overwhelmed. Since your experiences and your path are highly individualized and unique for each soul, each consciousness that you are, therefore, the symbiotic relationship between you as the projected human life, coming from the consciousness that you are, which is the dream state, we repeat, the dream state is you more than you here, in the sense that it is the consciousness from which you are creating your physical reality, not that your physical reality is creating the projection of so-called random thoughts and experiences that you call your dream state. Why does this happen mostly when you are in the physical unawake state you call sleep? Why is it occurring then? And that is simple. For you are not taking in the data of this physical reality then. You are able to shift your focus, though it is enabled by the process of your body's regeneration during sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so it permits you, in your grand intelligence, you designed it to be this way, so that you may understand symbiosis
Mm-hmm.
and how you evolve. You see, you as consciousness from the dream state are experiencing evolution in the human state as well, and you in the human state as well, by your realizations of your larger consciousness itself, the dream state, are also evolving. And that is why the multidimensional cells work together to evolve. That is always developed with a very loving feeling overall, meaning beyond fears of death.
There's a point right before you wake up. Some people realize they're in a dream and they start to shut the dream down or shut it off, or they're scared, or they don't want to, they're uncomfortable in their body, or something is waking them up and they have to pull out of the dream. Then there's this quiet period of time that's like, I know it's no time on the other side, but it feels like half of a millisecond. There's this time period of silence where the awareness wakes up and readjusts and reacquaints itself to this 3D experience. And I noticed that in that time period, I can ask my guides what was the meaning of certain things that were happening in the dream, if it was very meaningful, or I could discuss something like if my parents who have crossed over, if they come and visit me in the dream, I can ask my guides about, were they really here? Did that really happen? Or I'm open usually for downloads and I'll get like messages. So it's a very special time. What would you call that time? It's like empty space. It's just pure awareness. There's no thoughts. There's no language. There's just being.
For you are unafraid of what you perceive as death. You see, here in the human form, you are consistently maintaining the physical body. You are doing things that are in the support of survival.
While we're sleeping. Or
in your waking state.
Oh, just currently, all the time.
Yes. Okay. And so that is the foundational perspective, the scope of your existence. To survive and to feel good. That is not the thrust of you as complete consciousness. There it is simply to experience and evolve. Here you are learning through what you refer to as the contrast of pleasure and pain. As you expand your consciousness, you begin to see that shadow and light are but source and various. You might say that they are mirroring one another rather than opposites of one another. And so your yin and yang, your ideas of shadow and light, all of it is actually reflection. Though there seems to be something that is beginning to be reflected by something else. You might say the object is there and the mirror is there. We would say that all things are a mirror unto one another. Now, in your question, to be specific, you are curious about the state of mind or brain before you awaken?
Yes, it's right after the dream is realized that it's a dream or it's complete or it's over for that moment. And you're going to re-enter and awaken to your physical body. I feel like there's this space. Or sometimes I can drag it out and make it a little bit longer, but sometimes it's really fast. And it's utter silence. And it's complete awareness, and your eyes are still closed. You're not fully back in your body, so to speak. And this is a time where I usually can reflect very quickly to get answers.
And that is where your evolution is being experienced. That would be what you would refer to as a successful dream, meaning you are able to receive from it what you feel is best for your evolution. And these perspectives at times are clarified and confirm what perhaps you have suspected, and many times they are coming from left field, as you call it, surprise you, where you might have thought it was one way, and in your dream state you were able to see it as another. In practical terms, you might say that simply because you are less distracted by your earthly day-to-day life, you are experiencing this in the dream state, you are able to see things more clearly.
Are the guides, are spirit guides, quote unquote, hanging out with us during the dream state or nearby or involved in?
There is always a guide that is with you. Now, the consciousness that we are referring to, that you are, the consciousness of the dream state, that you is accompanied by a guide. You are in and out of that state, for, as you have experienced yourself in dreams, you are often confused as to where you are or how things could be. And so you are experiencing things, you might say, switching in between both perspectives. Here on earth, you call that stepping into your higher self at times, where you are in battle with your lower self, that perhaps does not do all the things that are best for you long-term, but are short-term pleasures. And so you say, I must do what my higher self would do. By that same metaphor in the dream state, you are the complete you. We use these terms for your convenience. The complete you, and the actor in the dream that is interacting with others in the dramatic scenarios.
There's a couple favorite dreams that I've had that I felt proud of myself, and I can't put words to why when I woke up, but what I experienced was that I was a different ethnicity, different gender. And one dream, two dreams I've had, and my daughter Melissa has these all the time, is that I was an object. It was in a cartoon game, and it was like a Mario Brothers kind of game, and I was one of the characters. And when I woke up, I felt really proud of myself. It was the first time I felt that I expanded past my identity, and I released and relaxed myself enough to be other things.
And that is because you have trained yourself consciously and unconsciously, that means deliberately and non-deliberately, where there is no separation, where consciousness is all. And as we have stated earlier, that every particle, every atom is conscious, even the pixels of your projected video game. You might say that you are projecting yourself now, and that these are pixels, this physical form that you are feeling. And so, as human beings are creators, they shall recreate through art, and in the case of video games, they are creating another life that is within the system of digitized entertainment, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They see the foundation of these games as having a life or multiple lives. They are experiencing dimensions, they are traveling, they are performing tasks and quests, they are taking forms that they are unable to take in the physical state, and this gives them great delight. Why is that? Why is it so appealing? And that is because you might say that through your creations of literature and fantasy and film and television and art and video games, that you are experiencing the more expanded complete self, which is the dream state, in which, when you are there and experiencing it, you feel more like yourself. You do not define it that way. You see it as fantastical and fantastic. It feels very good to you. And so, even when the dancer is dancing, they are experiencing themselves more fully. Why is that? And that is because this is what you are. You are that dream state, and therefore, through these activities, you feel more expressed, and that is very interesting that you have used this in your teachings. You wish to teach people to be more expressed. And why is that? Because when they are more expressed, it means that they are more in the fullness of their being. And that is what the dream state is. And it is also very fascinating that you call achieving aspirations as achieving your dreams.
Right. Okay, so now
When you are achieving your dreams, what it is truly meaning is that you, as a soul, are experiencing yourself more potently.
Mm.
And when you do not achieve your dreams, in the literal practical sense, your professional aspirations, one might say, she did not achieve her dreams, therefore she led a very agitated and profoundly sad life.
Mm.
That is not where you need to focus. For if you understand that you yourself are the dream state, and that is why you use the word dreams when you refer to professional aspirations, I must get my dream. That is the word you use.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you succeed in that aspiration, as you call it success, you will then begin to feel more like yourself, more fully expressed than the limitations of the physical self that you feel if you do not succeed. You would not have that happiness. But beyond that, the observation should be for yourselves that you are actually living the dream itself. You are a living dream. That means that you are the consciousness that takes limitless forms. And so when you become that thing, you get happy.
Mm-hmm.
When your dreams come true.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to go now to the shadow side of things. I would like to talk about sleep paralysis, nightmares, reoccurring dreams, and people who cannot dream.
There is nothing that you experience that you are at the mercy of, ultimately. All of your experiences are created by your beliefs. And so, the ability to not move in sleep paralysis, that fear that exists, to be trapped, to be contained, to be held down, and not be able to have the freedom of your own expression of movement, is a very deep fear.
Mm. Which is a belief system. Now, could it be possible there could be, like, bad characters in the entity world that could be sitting on you or preventing you from moving?
All intelligences are their own individual unique expressions.
Mm.
If they are at odds or in conflict with you, meaning preventing you from movement or feeling good or feeling that you have an attachment, as you call it, that there is an entity that means to do you harm. We are not here to tell you they do not exist, for they certainly do, for you are experiencing them. Many of you have had conversations with them and communication with them. And so there are two aspects to this conversation. One is the reality, as you call it, of the interaction with a separate being, an entity that may be holding you down, as you call it, to pin you against your bed, as is experienced in sleep paralysis, as it is called by those who are in the medical community. These night terrors, as those who are interested in the paranormal refer to them, we are speaking of the same event. Not all are entity-based and not all are sleep paralysis. There is a functioning of the human body where consciousness, you see, is temporarily not in control of the physical body. And that leaves it susceptible to what you refer to as the metaphysical reality, where there are other beings, meaning consciousness being what they are in their differences and similarities to you.
So they can access our dream state, which is Like I think of the iCloud, where we put our files in the
They are not
is it like
accessing it.
dreams are in a
No, dear.
cloud, but
You
it's
are
like,
accessing it.
so how do they access, or how do they get into our space is what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like it's our private space.
It is all done by your own agreement, though you would feel that to be very challenging for, again, your own survival as you see it as a physical being is your utmost concern. Therefore, any threat to your experience as a human becomes your concern as well. And so you then say these are invaders or outsiders, simply because you feel they are not welcome, when actually you are entering into the larger reality, which is what you are anyway. One might say that it is actually you who are on the outside, and then when you are in the dream state, you are opening yourself or returning to the wide space of creation. Now, that would then, as we sense, would trigger a feeling of, but then that is a dangerous place. You see, again, you are limited by your perspectives, because you would say, if I were to go that, then Phineas is saying that you are essentially not safe in this realm of being consciousness because there are other entities who exist there. And you as a human are dreaming, you are on the outside, then going into that state, and now you are not safe. Again, it is because of your template of always needing to protect yourselves. And yet you seek profoundly to not be afraid of death. Many who are unafraid of death say so proudly and experience a sense of freedom within themselves.
I noticed you brought up death a few times in this conversation about dreams. How are they interplaying?
And that is why many of your Eastern traditions call sleep the little death.
Right, I've heard that.
Yes.
Okay, so there's reoccurring dreams, and I feel reoccurring dreams are the subconscious, or the person is trying to work out a scenario or a situation to find resolve, and they cannot.
And that is because the belief that persists, for example, if a person might believe that they are unwell always, and that they always will be, the experience most likely will be that in this life. And so the projection of what you wish to be must then be accompanied by the feeling of that it is within you, it is what you are. Otherwise, you will then manifest those experiences.
So if I wanted to have a better experience while I'm in the dream state, I think it's called lucid dreaming, where you can control the outcome or control and maneuver and change course while you're dreaming. If I wanted to have a more happier experience while I'm dreaming, I'm able to do that, correct?
Yes.
Is there I don't want to call it a technique, I guess, but is it just simply intentionality that creates different outcomes in the dream?
As you go further and further into examining your beliefs, you will notice in your waking life, as you are gaining some advantage over your fears from the past, whereas you might experience something today that is causing you less fear than it caused you many years ago, or you have done work on that fear. And so you are not reacting to it the same way, for you understand more deeply the nature of it, and perhaps the lack of any strong evidence for it to hurt you, what you refer to as unfounded fears. Now, the power of thought is the basis of your very existence. One can imagine that there are creatures attacking them. One can imagine that there is some deficiency happening. Perhaps there's not enough oxygen, and they might say, I cannot breathe. That happens in the state of panic, doesn't it? That there seems to be not enough air, though clearly there is. The body cannot seem to, and the person themselves cannot seem to get enough air to breathe, which could cause their own death, and has.
While you're sleeping.
And while they are awake.
Right.
For that is where the state of panic usually occurs.
Right. Interesting.
Now, in the dream state, when there is panic happening, it is interesting to note that the body is in no danger.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that?
I think the body probably recognizes that it's not happening to the physical being. But I've woken up from dreams that are kind of quote unquote scary or
It is
something,
not
and my
the
heart
body
is
that
pounding.
Yes, it is not the body that realizes it.
Mm-hmm.
For the body is a physical manifestation.
So the
You might
collective
say it is the
consciousness.
vehicle. You yourself realize it
Mm-hmm.
on wider and deeper levels that you are not truly going to die in your dream. Now, in lucid dreaming, oftentimes there are people who simply become aware that they are dreaming, as you call it,
Mm-hmm.
and take chances. They might say, well, why not jump off of this building? Or why not go into the water and be able to breathe underwater? And many people have experienced this.
Yeah, I've swam
And,
with whales before.
and that is where the
Yeah.
belief system evolves. You
Mm-hmm.
are evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the state also where innovation and technology is expanded from. You see, everything that could be invented has already been invented in the state of consciousness and creation, which is your true self. It is only for you to manifest. That is why you use the word realize your dreams, or to realize the invention. Many creators have said that their ideas came to them while they were asleep.
Right. And they had notepads and they woke up and wrote it out, or
Yes.
they heard songs, concertos, and designs, blueprints.
Yes, and scientific discoveries
Yes.
or new theories which were very valid.
So I have a question about children. Children have such extraordinary, vivid, and very extreme dreams sometimes. But I've noticed that there's a theme. I couldn't remember the second thing, but the first thing I remember to ask you, and there was a second thing that is very common, but the first one is dinosaurs. They dream about dinosaurs and sometimes being eaten by dinosaurs. I find that fascinating for such a small child.
You see,
What is that about?
for the sake of your economics of time,
Mm,
we shall tell you, in simple terms, they have not yet experienced the data and information of this current life.
mhm,
They are only there to receive the love of their parents and to feel safe and secure and to consume food and to receive pleasure.
mhm,
In the most simple of forms, their desires are not complex and layered as they are experienced as you get older.
mhm,
And so, though the soul has lived many lifetimes, and in other forms that are not what you would call human, but if it is choosing a human life in this dimension of focus of earth, there are memories and visions of experiences in lifetimes where they were interacting with the creatures you refer to as dinosaurs. Now, many have told you that there were no humans, as you know them, in the time of those beasts, though we will tell you that that is a very limited understanding of reality, for they were. And so, as they seek evidence in the physical form, they ignore consciousness, for that is the opposite of what they believe. They only believe in intellect as the basis of a physical form simply wanting to survive. The processes of the brain to survive, that is what they refer to as intellect, to organize the physical reality around them. And that is why you might say you created a world where there is an east and a west. And while both sides, as you may call them, east and west, do philosophize of their origins and love and interaction and creation itself, one might say that the East goes within to understand these things in a more multidimensional way. The acceptance of the notion of assistance from higher beings, as they call them, as you call them, higher beings. And where in the West, it is more the idea of saviors in the form of angels who are coming to save you from danger and the misery of being alive. They do not see it in the West as an experience of evolution. And in many of the Eastern traditions, it is seen that life is the experience of evolution of the soul. And so one might say that is the yin and yang. You might say the entire earth is a symbol of yin and yang if you were to draw that curvy line across the globe. All of it, again, symbiotic and synergistic. You might call it the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, depending on which perspective you believe is the consciousness. You might think that the East is the rational conscious mind and that the West is the opposite, depending on where you are. Again, your own beliefs creating your reality, not the other way around. You see, you tend to believe that your reality is then creating the way that you feel. That is what you are taught.
Mm-hmm. In closing, I have one last question about dreams. So there's people that cannot dream, will not dream, have not dreamed, has never dreamed. I find that utterly fascinating. How would you describe that person? What does that mean? How can you help them to dream if they want to dream?
The experience is not that they are not having dreams. It is simply that they do not remember them.
Interesting. Is that
now, to the previous question about children, to put it more simply, since they are new to the planet, they still have memories of the past experiences here.
Mm-hmm.
And because they are based upon survival, you see, they do not have at least not in the conscious mind that they can express to you, they do not have very sophisticated dreams. By your own terms, sophisticated, we mean where the narratives are very layered and wander and come back together in one point.
Mm-hmm.
They have dreams that are simpler, and that is why the appeal of cartoons is so great for children, for the narrative is simple and reminds them of the subconsciously, or perhaps you might say superconsciously, of past life experiences,
right,
which they deem to be good or bad, living or dead, living triumphantly or dying tragically. Those larger, broader themes stay with the younger child, and they then evolve past them to experience this reality as you know it, which is far more detailed.
right.
We thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so enjoyable.
Be well.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back.
Thank you. What a wonderful pleasure it is to channel Phineas.
I literally could have asked about 10 more questions easily.
Well, I think that he will be back, guys.
That was so fascinating.
Yes, Phineas has been with us for many, many years, and what can I say? He's truly a professor when he comes.
Phineas Quimby.
And guys, listen back to this video. There's a lot here. Maybe we can make the transcript available at some point.
Well, you guys, thank you very much for joining us. And we're definitely going to be going to sleep now because we're in sleep mode.
Yeah, and we'll be back. And then we're going to have the topics that were covered today. I think we're going to be discussing more in depth with your questions.
Yes.
Live.
In a couple of days.
In a couple of days. I think it's going to be Thursday night.
So join us for that. And we will answer your questions and talk to you. And that's it. Have a great day or night. And we'll see you next time.